Good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about the daytime. This is my daytime review of Creepy Caves Elimination, the final iteration of Creepy Caves at Chessington World of Adventures Howl-o-Ween 2022. So if you haven't seen my previous video on Creepy Caves Elimination at the event this year, you'll know I've talked about Creepy Caves Elimination After Dark, which is the 13 plus version of the maze. Very intense, experiencing it again next week at the time of recording. So sort of looking forward to getting back into Creepy Caves After Dark, but also not looking forward to getting back into After Dark, just considering how nuts it was the first time. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about the daytime version of the maze. So for those who do not know, there's technically 3 versions of the maze this year, and it's the same with Vile Villages, and I will be talking about the daytime version of Vile Villages in a separate video as well, so keep an eye out for that. But Creepy Caves Elimination. So the maze on most days is open 12 noon until 7 p.m. After Dark is 7 till 8, and then the daytime version is, so if you go in between 12 noon and 3 p.m, it's recommended for 8 plus, so it's a lot tamer. But there's a couple of little scares there, but it's a lot less tamer, more interactive than anything. And if you go in between 3 and 7, it's rated 10 plus, and it's classic, not suitable for children, but somehow suitable for children as well. So I'm going to be talking about both versions because I was lucky enough on opening day to experience the 8 plus version and the 10 plus version, as well as getting gifted the 13 plus version. So we'll start off talking about the 8 plus version. So of course the 8 plus version and the 10 plus version, in terms of theming, does not change. It just becomes more intense in terms of the way it's done. In the 8 plus version, obviously you do, like with every version, you do start off in the black tent at the top of the stairs. You have your safety briefing in there, which is a pre-recorded announcement. One of the things I noticed with that announcement is it's actually the announcement from Creepy Caves Resurgence, but they've just trimmed out the bits that would make sense in the Resurgence storyline. There's some, I think, green lighting in there. I think it's green lighting. It's either green lighting or red lighting. I can't quite remember. And then one of the secret agents in this will come up to the top of the stairs. In the 8 plus version, they'll ask you, oh, are you the reinforcement I asked for? In the 10 plus version, they sort of tell you to come down the stairs and you get in. If you go down the stairs and you head to the decontamination chamber, in both versions, interestingly enough, in the 8 plus version, we were sort of told to stand in the decontamination chamber, and new smoke and light effects were in. You could sort of see the curtain had been ripped apart as well, and there was a lot of like new system failure announcements and like please evacuate immediately. So the whole system has really gone down in there. But I know in one of my run throughs on the 10 plus version, we sort of, it's weird. I think it depends on what actor you have, because sometimes they'll use the decontamination chamber area, and sometimes you just walk straight into the lab. But I know on several run throughs of the 10 plus, we just walked straight into the lab. The lab itself, theming wise, the lab itself is now completely covered in vines to do with the whole Angel Fire Plant engulfing the cave storyline. And on top of that, those who went through Creepy Caves Resurgence, you'll know that that lab room was basically destroyed by the rebels, stuff tipped over, things broken. That is exactly like it is, but there's a lot more like vines and plants and stuff in there, so it looks really cool. And you're sort of told that the secret agent that you meet is actually the daughter of Dr. Burke. Now, anyone who's done Creepy Caves history, that's a throwback to the Unearthed storyline with Dr. Burke, who was the lead scientist on the Angel Fire plant, and you find out that he was betrayed and that he was amongst around about 100 people, lab rats to Crisis World Operation and Research, and that obviously the reason why the plant has now engulfed the caves is as a throwback to the Resurgence storyline. The people in gas masks that you saw, called the Rebellion, they tried to burn the caves down, having not realized that it's the Angel Fire plant, and the plant has now grown 100 times its size and power, and now you're sort of stuck. And the idea is that you're now going to go into the caves to find a room full of explosives, and you're going to blow the plant up into smithereens, destroying it completely. So then after that, you then head through the black flaps and to the door where you would then enter the caves. Obviously, there's some slightly new effects from what I noticed. There's like a strobe light now going off in the window. I think it was a new effect, but I do remember on reflection seeing it after the Dr. Burke sequence in Unearthed, but I don't remember seeing it there in Resurgence. So maybe it's an effect that they've just turned on again, like they've turned the effect on again. And then you enter the caves. Now in the 8+ version, your secret agent actually follows you through, and you don't get as much intense scares. It's more very creepy, which is quite ironic for creepy caves. But during the 10+ version, your secret agent is basically murdered by the creatures, which, funny enough, the creatures that are in there this year are a mix of what we think is Dr. Burke and, well, technically there's two types of characters within the actual cave system this year. You've got Dr. Burke, who's gone mad from festering away in there for 5 years, and then you've got the last of the Rebellion, who have now been covered in vines and are sort of acting like the creatures from 2017, 18, and 19. So it's good to see that they're reusing costumes, and they've actually put like vines on the costumes, which I find quite cool. So yeah, in the 8+ version, you walk through. Obviously, the route this year is the old Unearthed route, which is good to see they brought it back to that route from years. Because as much as I loved going through it in reverse during Resurgence, I do prefer going down the staircase for the atmosphere, because you sort of knew where you were, it was one of them. Anyway, but as you went through the caves, a lot of the theming from Resurgence has remained. They've taken certain bits out. They've turned different bits of audio off as well. Those who went through Resurgence, you remember there was songs like Firestarter by the Prodigy, and there was also Rammstein playing in the finale. All that audio is gone. There's no more like rock songs in there. It is all atmosphere, going back to the old version of Caves. There was also there used to be Purge sirens going off towards where the lab was in Resurgence. They've all now been turned off, and a lot of the old lighting and effects have now been turned back on from Unearthed. A lot of the Unearthed special effects have now been turned back on. However, there are a couple of effects from Resurgence that have still made it into the story. But yeah, you go around. Anyone who knows where the little air cannons were on that first corner in Creepy Caves, that is back, but that bit is now completely pitch black, and you cannot see a thing. We got some really good scares in there on the 10+ version. We had someone like above us, but because we couldn't see them, they got a really good jump scare when they jumped down. So that was a really good scare during the 10+ version. Like I say, during the 8+ version, all of it is like basically the same, but the secret agent actually follows you through and helps you to find the explosives. So yeah, going through, you still got the strobe section, the mini crawl section. A lot of us in our groups were debating whether it was a crawl section or not, because it sort of is a crawl section, but also not. It's just where the roof is a bit lower down, so you have to crouch. So is it a crouch section? I don't know. Anyway, and then following that, you go through all the other scenes. The strobe section is back. Now, during the 8+ version, it was still very stroby, but you were able to see your way through, and there weren't any actors in there. In 10+, they were pumping a lot of smoke in there. There was a lot of smoke in that strobe section. It got to a point where I think we were in a group of 7, and about 2 of us got lost in that strobe section. I mean, we ended up having to try and find the wall and walk our way through. So they were pumping a lot of smoke in there. So beware, you may get lost in that strobe maze, as always. Out of all the years I've done Creepy Caves, I've done it basically every year it's been there, apart from its opening year. And I've never gotten lost in that strobe maze, but this was the first time I've ever gotten lost in that strobe maze. Then you go around into a UV room, where this is where a lot of the Resurgence storyline is. You can see loads of plants that have been put there, which weren't there for Resurgence, but it's back. You've got a lot of the old theming from Resurgence up there, so like the letter R and Scum, Traitors, they're still there, and also there's like a UV skeleton with a gas mask, which we actually found out was a new bit of theming, because I don't remember it being there. And you continue through, still some of the old theming from Resurgence, like the body hanging up just before the ending. And you go into the ending, which is a completely new finale this year, completely new. And this is where you get a mix of the Resurgence effects as well as Unearthed effects. So you go in and you see a load of barrels, and behind the barrels is this massive version of the Angel Fire Plant, which can I say is one of my favorite theming elements in the history of Creepy Caves. Like, it is really, really good. Like, that version of the Angel Fire Plant. And there's a button. There's a button you press. Now, during the 8+ version, the sequence doesn't start until you all enter, and you're told over a voiceover to push the button to blow it up. And you push down the button, goes dark, you get smoke blasting through the floor, there's pyrotechnics, the sparks though in the finale for Resurgence, they are in there, and then actors come running in, and you're sort of locked in there by the gate, and then the gate opens, and you're allowed out. In the 10+ version, a lot more actors come in there, sequence is the same, but you're kept in there longer. I think I ended up getting jump scared so bad that I ended up on the floor. And obviously in After Dark, you barely spend any time in that room, and then you just walk out. So yeah, that's Creepy Caves Elimination. Personally, Elimination is my favorite alliteration of the maze. The fact that they've utilized elements of all the different Creepy Caves storylines in its final year makes it, and they are sending it out in such a good way. And hopefully, whatever replaces Creepy Caves in 2023, whether that's a new maze in the caves, or whether it's a brand new maze completely, let's just hope that we get something as intense replacing what is truly an iconic maze. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on Creepy Caves Elimination. What was your favorite storyline of the Creepy Cave saga? Are you an Unearthed fan, a Resurgence fan, or an Elimination fan? Let me know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully the next video should be my daytime Vile Villagers of Wild Woods review. So make sure for that. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.